Alright, welcome back to my Sorare journey. If you watched the last episode, it was Operation Santa, where I explained all of my plans in a very hypey, very good type of way. I'd suggest you go and check that out. But this video is going to be completely different. It's kind of tying all the loose ends. If you've been watching the journey, trying to explain what happened, why I'm actually doing that, how I got the money, why I bought certain players. Because obviously it's so fun, so interesting to get the hype video out, but some of you actually want to, learn. So this is going to be the more educational side. It's not going to be clean cut. So I hope you like this side. Starting off, I obviously want to talk about how I got all my ETH. I ended up with about £4,500 worth of ETH, which is about 3.5. Made some really good sales, was really happy with some of them. First up, Remco Pasveer. So I bought him for £1,500 and sold him for 1,911. So you might be thinking like, okay, well, £400 is good, but on a £1,500 investment across 3 months, is that? I think it's just above a month, actually. Is that really that good? Like, obviously it's good, but you also lost a lot of money on Daily Blend, for example. So what happened there is that Pasveer's scores has been absolutely awful. And if you look at them, like since I picked him up, he's just been, 9, 7, 13, 36. And some of these are really easy games for Ajax. Like the league games, he should have been keeping clean sheets. So what that does is, crash his price. If you look at the price graph and what's happened in rare, straight line down. But if you look in super rares, because they're less liquid, and if someone wants one, they just come and have to get them, right? And pay the price, essentially, you're able to set your own prices. So what happened was, essentially, he's going down in value. He becomes more risky, Even one of you in the comments was like, I wouldn't touch Pasveer at all, just because of his age. Like, you're getting 1 year out of him. And that was my strategy to start off with, so I didn't really care. But then once I realised he's probably not first team for Netherlands, I was like, I really need to get rid of this guy because, part of the plan was World Cup utility. And if I'm not getting that, I'm kind of wasting value here. Then you have the time bomb side with his age, right? And then mix into that the fact that he's scoring awfully now compared to Mr. Reliable 60 Remco Pasveer. I had to get rid of him. Thankfully, no super rares were on the market, so I had mine up at like £2,000 for maybe a week and a half, something like that. And this week they had Liverpool, and then was it Liverpool? I think it was Liverpool. They had Liverpool and then no game during the weekend, and I was like, there's just no chance someone comes and offers for him this week. Someone put an offer in while I was sleeping, and I was just like, oh my God, it was right on the borderline. It's like my minimum. I set my minimums essentially on every card where it's like, this is the number I'd start considering accepting your offer at. And I was like, I'd probably accept this, but I want more. And it was like 2-3 hours to go before the deadline. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do here. I've narrowed my value from 1.95 to 1.9. So he's at sale for 1.9 now. Still the lowest on the market, but someone else has put theirs up at 1.95 as well. So cut mine by a small amount of ETH. I will say I might actually do a video on my negotiations because I think I've done really well and it could be helpful. But then I also do give away all my tips. So I'm not sure if you guys want to see it. If you do want to see it, let me know. I'll consider it. But what I did, I lowered the price slightly. So I'm lowest on the market. If he wants to go get it, he can. He has his offer, right? And like they're poles apart. And I'm like, I'd happily meet in the middle. Anywhere kind of in the middle, I'm happy to meet. So I then send him a Discord friend request. I'm like, just wait for this guy. Come on, please. Like, I have no idea what time zone he's in or anything else. Next thing I see, he's added me as a friend. I'm like, brilliant. Go to my club. He's gone and bought him at the 1.9 ETH. I'm just like I was literally celebrating. I finally got rid of him. I don't know why the guy wanted him. Either it's just strong believer in Ajax for the rest of the season, needs a good value super rare, or more likely, I've seen a couple of lineup predictions going out and they have him as Netherlands #1, which, after all your help from in the comments, I don't see it happening. So if he does, fair enough, lucky this guy, but I wouldn't have bought him at this price. So, that helped get the ETH up. Next up, we have Alvaro Valles. So obviously I spent loads of money on the Las Palmas goalkeeper and he kept another clean sheet. I think he earned me a little reward or two, which was brilliant. And then he's up, I'm looking at these last sales and people come coming to me on Discord, right? Because I'll put mine up occasionally, or if I'm not putting them up on sale, there's only 6 of them. So if you've got to pick someone to Discord, you're going to pick someone that's got their name, got their Twitter, easy to reach essentially, right? So I've done that. I've put that there and people have reached out to me and been like, oh, this and that. And I got to this really good trade deal, which I really wanted to accept. And I was just trying to like milk a little bit more ETH out of it because Valles is in such a good position. I'm not going to get him away for fair market price. I'm kind of wanting above market price, right? There's none on auction. He's a really good goalkeeper. He's only going to go up in demand as it gets closer to the World Cup. And it was like 1.5 ETH, and Gusto from Lyon, like the under 20 right back. And I was like, you know, I have no use for an under 20 right back. Rare this is, of course. But I could sell him pretty quickly, I think, and I was getting slightly good value on it. And then he was like, do you know what, I'll come back to you with this offer, because I asked for a slightly little bit more of ETH just to really milk it out. And then he was like, found someone that would stick it far below, not that far below, let's say like £100 below. And I was like, yeah, like I'm not going to go to that price, like I said. And then next thing, someone else comes up to me and it's like, right, I want Valles and I want the backup, because obviously, like, as I explained to you guys, I think it's good to have the backup goalkeeper if you're going to, like, you know, really go for this on an expensive card. Essentially, you keep yourself safe, you hedge against the risk. And I was speaking to him and he was like, you know, offering these prices. I was like, you're miles off, mate. You're not even reaching the last sold. And then I was like, I don't want the last sold. I want above last sold, because, you know, there's none on the market. You can't get him anywhere. He's got a good fixture coming up, all the rest of it, you know. And we eventually ended up agreeing 2.17, and this says £3,000. That's what it is now, because it's weird. This bit on Sorare, it actually keeps going up with the price, but it was about £2,500. Let's say £100 for Dominguez and 2,400 for Valles. That's how I was measuring it in my value. So if we look at the last sale of when I sold it, the last sale was 2,000. So I'm getting that like extra £400 on top here. So I was like, yeah, more than happy to get rid of him here. And I get to sell the goalkeeper, which can be a bit difficult to sell secondary goalkeepers. So I was absolutely buzzing with that transaction as well. Obviously, like it's very difficult to let go of such a good goalkeeper, but my risks were the better he does, the more likely he gets promoted to La Liga and then loses his value. And just one of those, it's going too well at the moment kind of things. And this is the best part, right? They had like an 85% clean sheet ratio. Now I've dropped him again. The only two games he's conceded when I haven't owned him, so that's fantastic. But yeah, just like selling your players into the hype. Like this guy was worth as much as like a top champion Europe player just because he was scoring better than them. And I was like, this is a goalkeeper, obviously. And I was like, it's just good to let him go. Since I got rid of the Las Palmas goalkeeper, I didn't need the defensive stack. I looked at Alex Suarez and I was like, this guy isn't really like a monster player. And I think I sold him for like the smallest ETH profit, but obviously I'm valuing everything kind of in fiat these days, as that's how I think the market's kind of moving. And I think it's probably better if you do. I know some of the top guys, or I'd say top, they're not top, they've just spent the most money. Some of the like Wales, or like the further up the division you go, they like to value in ETH, and it's like, it used to work. It doesn't make sense when everyone else is valuing in fiat. So that's my opinion. So essentially 191 and I sold him for 208, and that's like £20 profit or something. But you know, he's not that good a scorer. And the thing I've been thinking about recently is if you can use these players, get a little bit of rewards out them, and then sell them for a profit, that's like the best case scenario. Because I've said so many times, the general trend of Sorare cards is down because more supply comes out, and let's say a fixed demand, and you know, new players aren't coming on all the time, right? In that case scenario, it's down. So if you can sell a player for profit and get rewards out of him and just keep milking that process, that's exactly, I think, a great thing to do. The risk of it is you sell your like best players too soon, right? So you have to know when, and that's obviously like the $1 million question, like, oh, this guy's doing well, do I sell him? Like, no one knows, right? But I thought in this case, you know, he averages 53, he was scoring 52, like he's scoring average. He's not going anywhere really. It's not a big risk. I've earned a little bit of rewards off him. I've earned some ETH, right? Happy to let go. No defensive stack. So that was another way I built ETH. I don't know if you guys think the same, but as soon as you start building an ETH balance, I just want to get more. I'm like, let's just get the biggest ETH balance I can and completely rebuild. So that's kind of what happened with Sablasi here. So I think he's an absolute monster pickup, right? Like he's £100, under 23. I think he's 21 years old. It says he's 22 here actually. And then Leipzig, they just score ridiculous amounts of goals. I think he's fantastic. Doesn't seem to be that rotational anymore. You've sold him. Why have you sold him? Well, it's just that, you know, 92 to 105, I think I got 2 game weeks out of him. So I've made a little profit and I've used him for 2 game weeks. I think it's just a great strategy when you can do it. And it's like, yes, this guy can continue on to have a great career and you know, keep going, but he's not going to have World Cup utility. And Leipzig got a tough couple of games coming up. So it's like, well, in that meantime, let's use someone else and then we can swap back to Sablasi down the line. It's just that kind of thinking. I think it's been really good. And like I said, I wanted to build ETH, so that's how I built a little bit more ETH. See if there's anyone else in here. the absolute meme that is Sven comes. Got him for 215. I needed a midfielder, saw him for 247. It's just one of those quick flips, right? I needed a midfielder for that game week, but I saw he had 2 good games. He had, one midweek and one at the weekend. I was like, well, if I use the weekend fixture, I then sell him into the hype of the next fixture. It works wonders. You should try that out. So then I started making some trade deals with the Devil. Pavel trader. I'm only joking about this whole Devil thing. I think Pavel's absolutely fantastic for the platform, but it's very difficult to get a good deal off him because he gets so many offers and he needs 15, 30%. Quick tip, it says he needs 30%. I think that's just to make you overbid, if that makes sense. I've never got to 30% him actually asking for. So in this trade deal, what was going on? Essentially, people that, have a little bit of value but have no use in my gallery, like Sobolev, fantastic, put up good scores. I think he hit me rewards as well, or at least had the opportunity to, right? Gone up in value, maybe 20, 25%. The Russian winter break's coming. I don't want to have to start undercutting. And what happened is this guy put up a big score in play, and it's like his last sale was before the weekend. So if you imagine Thursday, just before the game week closes, or Friday morning, prices are at their highest, and then they kind of gap down a little bit, right? So they gap down because no one needs them. Everyone wants ETH. They want to sell these players. If you've done a 1 game week hit, you want in and out quickly in case there's an injury risk or anything else, right? It's a known fact the players drop in price very slightly after the game week closes because people will try and sell them. I do it all the time. So Sobolev was at his high. He then got an even better score, so he looked really good. And I was like, if I want to sell him, I have to undercut everyone, and I wouldn't be the only guy. So I was like, this is a great person to send to Pavel. I wasn't using Cordoba, and then a couple of limiters just to prop up my value, which haven't really bothered me. So who do I bring in? Florian Wirtz. I just think of last season when this man was an absolute monster, and I just wanted him so bad, and I just couldn't afford him, or couldn't structure him into my gallery. If he's back fit and firing, it'd be fantastic. And the fact he's injured, you get that kind of injury premium. If they're injured, people don't want them. People want them when they're fit. I know he's back in training, so maybe 2-3 weeks from getting back in the team. That was a great, really, idea from me. I went for the old season card, and you're like, okay, well, I thought you like new season cards. I do, but I think the forward card scores slightly better. So the new season cards are forwards, which even better makes them scarce because, like I said, more supply comes on the system and cards go down in price, right? But if you've got a forward card, you can charge what you want for them because there's not any more we're getting minted. So I think this is a fantastic pickup. We'll see how it works out, right? No expert, made mistakes, but average of 65 in forward and 60 in midfielder. And that could be serious. That could be so serious for if he comes back fully fit. The big risk is risk of re-injury. So when he does get fit, am I going to sell him? I'll need to see how he plays, really. But Leverkusen really need him. They've been struggling this season. And then in that deal as well, I got Kyogo Furuhashi, obviously. So been underperformance for Celtic recently. I think, he only plays 60 minutes coming in and out, but he's just so talented. I know long term, I think he'll probably hold that first choice pick. Yeah, I think long term would be the first choice pick, and he's a serious talent. A lot of these bad scores has come in the Champions League, where unfortunately Celtic were, I wouldn't say we're awful, but the results were awful. We just weren't clinical enough. So it's when he goes back to playing Livingston, St Mirren, Dundee every week, the scores will go up with it, obviously, and that's what people don't see when they're using Sorare data. So it's yeah, happy to take a little hit on him. I think I probably bought him at the £400 range. He's probably at £350, so continued to trickle down a little bit, but I think that's a great price if we look back in 6 months to a year. And obviously I support them, so I'm very biased. So that was how I raised most of my money, right? And there'll be a couple of rewards in between that. I'm going to start putting them up as shorts, so make sure you subscribe, check out some of the short content. Hopefully it's enjoyable. I just think it's not worth doing a tier 2 or a tier 3 reward video inside of my Sorare journey. It's they're probably better as shorts. If there's a monster award like a star, I'll put it in my Sorare journey. We'll hype it up, all the rest of it. But tiny ones that can be good, can be bad. Yeah, shorts for now. And there'll be some other short content, so I hope you like that. I do want to talk about now, obviously, why I bought some of these players. So Benzema at 277. I just thought he's coming back from an injury, leading the line for France. I feel like I'm saying that phrase too much, by the way, but maybe not. Leading the line for France, £277. I was he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's not Messi and Neymar scores, but he's really not far off. So I got one of him, and then I was I can actually get him for 0.01 less, which is quite a lot in limited, right? It's I thought I've got him for 0.2 and 0.19, something like that. And I was yeah, I'll get a second one. Spoiler alert, he's absolutely ruined my game weeks this week. He failed he was training, and then after the game week closed, he then didn't complete training. There was an issue and he's gone for tests. He passed the test, but he doesn't want to risk it and stuff. So essentially he's killed 2 really good lineups, but whatever. His general price is fantastic. Why am I selling one? I'm debating getting Neymar. I'm just like, I've got 4 of the best Brazil players. What if I get Neymar? Then I'm just fully in for Brazil for the World Cup. So I'm considering that, but what it would be the 4 players in Kimmich. So let's talk about Kimmich, because this was a really interesting one. So obviously I'd been holding Diogo Costa for the under-23 World Cup. I thought it was ridiculous the short amount of notice period they gave to actually change under-23s to only requiring 4 players, which obviously you get rid of the most expensive player, goalkeeper. So I got screwed along with everyone else, right? What do you do in that situation? You tell Sorare they're idiots for not giving us more time. Like, please say, by the way, we're thinking of making the under-23s 4 players for the World Cup so more people can play. It's better for everyone. I completely agree. It's better for everyone rather than just having 1 goalkeeper and who's ever got the goalkeeper is going to win. Let's include as many people as possible. But don't give me 24 days notice. Don't crash his price. Do it 4 months before. Just say, by the way, we're thinking about this. And then 24 days before you can go by like, remember when we said this? It's now certain. You know, sorry, but bigger picture here. Anyway, little rant. I have to get rid of him. So his average at the time was higher than his floor, and I'm not sure how Pavel values it. I think he looks at averages, so I thought this is a great chance to get him away. I put 4 trade offers in for like Courtois and something else. I wasn't going to panic sell Costa because obviously he's quite good and I might need him next season, but I was like, just get rid of him for now. Didn't accept any of those, and I was like, it's just not worth it. And then the Premier League news came out, and I just went nuts on limited Champion Europe cards because, you know, in my mind, those will be the most desirable cards because you can win Premier League cards and they're the people that casuals will know and want to get. So I went in for those and I was like, I'm literally just missing the best player. Like, in my mind, Kimmich, Messi, Neymar, Mbappe are your 4 best Champion Europe players. I've had Neymar, I had Mbappe. Mbappe's slightly out of form and just not putting the same scores up as last year. Neymar's great, I want him back, I've already said that. I've got Messi. I was like, I need Kimmich. I just can't afford him. I can't justify spending £1,000 on him. And then I was like, wait, what have I got? Like, just cards I'm not using. So Diogo Costa, I've explained, right? Don't need him anymore for the World Cup. I've got Donnarumma for under-23s. Really was a 1-week pickup that I was trying to sell. A reward of Shatoni. Joseph Martinez had peaked in price because he was linked with moving away. And I'd speak to some people that know him better and they're like, I wouldn't touch him. Like, he could go to, you know, any country that's not covered, and I just don't think his like fitness will hold up. And to be fair, he was absolutely doing my nut in. Like, every week he's on the bench. I just don't know what Xavi's doing. Like, he is just picking the worst possible Barcelona team. Well, maybe not the worst possible Barcelona team. No, he is. He is picking the worst possible Barcelona team. He's just putting all the like the old folks, right? Like the PKs and Busquets that just shouldn't be in that team. Put Frank Kessie ahead of Busquets. Put Eric Garcia above and Jules Koundé ahead of like PK. Barca fans will tell you it better than me, but I know he is underperforming. They're going to Europa League, right? And Fati is fantastic every time he plays, and he's consistently using like Rafinha and Dembele. And I appreciate Dembele's been good. Rafinha hasn't been that good. Give Fati his like run of 3 games in the team, please. Like, oh God. And he even played like Pedri at out of position at one point just to fit in Busquets. Oh, anyway, rant over. I said this isn't going to be a clean video, right? And then Herrera, who I think is fantastic value, but then I looked at him and I was like, I've got to wait 4 months. I have no other American cards in rare. Like, you're kind of wasting your time there. Satalo, you know, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I think he was under 40, now he's no longer under 40 and he's crashing in price. And, you know, I don't keep my eyes on the Croatian league that much. So, yeah, easy to get rid of. And I brought in Joshua Kimmich. I was like, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. He finally accepted it. And ETH averages now, I'm paying like £100 premium. At the time, I was paying like £100 premium. It was 14% if you used averages, I think, and 8% if you used floors. Because obviously the big one, Diogo Costa, had crashed in price. So I'm saying I was giving him 8%, which I think is fair. And I was like, 8% for like 8 cards I no longer need. Absolutely every day of the week, let's do that. And then it got a little bit better. If you've watched my new season versus old season cards, right? I am a big believer in new season cards to the XP. And I would say I would happily pay 10% for a new season card of a top tier card, like 9 times out of 10. If we see here, I messaged this guy, he's got Kimmich in his name, whatever. He was like, will you swap old season for new season? Like, I think he's just a flipper and he's got a few Kimmiches. He was like, yeah, I'll do it for, like, what price do you think? And I quoted the difference between the last sale of a new season, the last sale of the old season, and it was 0.04. And he was like, I'll take 0.05. And I was smashing that, like, accept button, because 0.05 is, you know, it's like 5% of his actual value. So I would happily pay 10%. I might have even paid 15, and I'm getting him for 5% to upgrade to a new season card. So this Kimmich hopefully stays in the gallery for a long time. I'm just buzzing to have Kimmich finally. Oh my god, he's a monster on this game, honestly. I'll quickly talk through some of the people I picked up and why. It might be a bit longer, but I think some of you people probably like this. So if you're still here, drop me a comment, let me know. Perez a reward, you'll see that as a short actually. Benzema spoke about, Kimmich spoke about, David Neres. So Benfica had an unreal fixture this week. I needed a forward. Who came in? 87, Neres. Fantastic. But now I want to sell him. He's also got a good game week at the weekend. I'm not trying to make a profit. So I think if I can use him, make a profit, sell him to someone else when it is a good game week, it is a fantastic strategy. All you need to do is look at 2 game weeks. When a team has 2 good game weeks in a row, use one, sell one, make a profit. Oh, I love it. Rafa Silva was the same. He put up a, 70 as well. You know, they won 5-0. João Mario I had as well. I had the triple Benfica. João Mario's captain, didn't get anything. But I sold him. I managed to sell him for a profit before the game week, like just after the game week closed. Like, don't really know how. Just, you know, someone wanted him early, I guess, whatever. Georgios Giacomakis for Celtic, £51. It's probably an overpay, but it's because he's on such good form. When Kyogo is going down, Giacomakis is going up, obviously, because he's scoring the goals, not Kyogo, whatever. Being a Celtic fan, I needed him. Under 45, I think he's going in the underdogs. I was like, this is a perfect striker to have. He probably starts this weekend, so we'll see about that. Tanny. Tanny's just one of those great, you know, I needed an under-23 goalkeeper for next season. I needed a goalkeeper for this game week, and I was like, Japanese lads, isn't it? You know, they've got a couple game weeks left. They're undervalued. Great. Picked up Tanny for like £95, which is so cheap for him. He puts up a 90. I would have been celebrating all over the place, but Benzema's in the team, who's not likely to start tomorrow. Legends, haven't spoken about them. So I picked up 2 legends. So they're doing little competitions for legends, and you win real life rewards. In this case, it's a football kit. I'm not sure if it's a signed football kit or a normal football kit, but it's a football kit. And I was like, let's just see. It's probably just a normal football kit, and it's like, it's better than nothing. I think the idea of winning a physical reward from Sorare really appeals to me. And if they're going to use Legends for that, I thought, you know, Legends are quite cheap now. And also, if you put them in training, right, they're going to get massive scores, so they'll earn more XP quicker. It's going to be a very small change, but it's just, you know, it's a bit of fun, kind of thing. And what was it, like 50 and 30 quid for Franz Beckenbauer? Also quite like them as collectibles, you know, old school, proper Legends, really. Daniel Bachmann, or Bachmann, I was like, I need a goalkeeper. I need a goalkeeper for this week. And then I was like, Championship playing some really quiet midweeks, and at Christmas when not many teams are playing, I think Watford's perfect. He was £48. I was like, £48 for a limited? How far have they gone down? Like, obviously limit cards have come down a lot recently, but, you know, it's just because I think they're trying to bring the prices down by keeping supply high for potential Premier League and World Cup users. I think it's great. So now that's why I'm buying so many, right? And put up a lovely little 65 today. So, you know, Watford are a good team. He shouldn't be that cheap. And I thought if he gets dropped, I've got Maduko Okoye, the under-23 goalkeeper from Nigeria that moved to Watford and never got any games. So I was like, win-win, can't really lose. Could hold on to him for a while. Jesper Karlsson, one of those really easy games, got a nice fixture midweek. Thinking they're selling him for Jota, but I can't have Jota and Neymar probably, and the goalkeeper rare I need, so I'm going to have to make a decision. Marquinhos and Alisson, Brazil defence for the World Cup, they should be pretty solid. Aaron Moy, whilst Callum McGregor's out, he's probably most likely to take up the midfielder role, and he slots into the under 45s because, you know, average scores. Jose Callejon, I need to speak about in the future, but essentially the La Liga stacks I think could be really beneficial. You'll see. David Alaba, £44 for Alaba. I'm not certain. I think he's one of the more nailed defenders at Real Madrid. Obviously, he gets rotated a little bit, like all of them do, because there's so many good ones. But when Alaba plays, he takes set pieces and corners as well. He mixes them with Cruz, right? For £44, just because he's a little bit out of form, I think, because he's coming off the bench and putting up like 20s, right? I think that could be a really good hold. disclaimer alert, I did think he was going to the World Cup when I bought him, and then he wasn't, but I was like, it's still a good price. I spoke a little about the Real Oviedo defence, but essentially I've got told that they've got a new manager, and he's quite a defensive manager, and he's like the cheapest goalkeeper in the Liga 2. I was like, it's a bit of a no-brainer for me. Doesn't look to be getting relegated unless they go on awful form. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I'm not certain about him, but it's a cheap option, you know. I think this was a rare for £70, and he put up a 70 before today where he got 30, but back to reality, I guess. That is where I'm going to leave it for today. Let me know if you like the more kind of just explaining. It's basically not a perfect content, you know. I like to keep my content high quality, but sometimes it's good and people just like to sit down and have a little chat. It's probably not something I'm the best at, you know. I get stuck for trains of thoughts and, you know, not clear with my words sometimes. So give me your honest opinion, right? If you thought this was an awful episode, you probably already clicked off, to be honest. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, you know, not the clean cut version, just talking. What did you think? All the best to you. Cheers.